Hey guys, welcome to another edition of the Long Range Corner. This is your host Matt, and here we are. We're going to talk today about not much, really. I don't have really much to talk about. Ooh, I'm going to have an echo here. Let's get rid of that. Yeah, so basically wanted to wish you guys a happy holiday. Hope you guys are doing well. I got some presents in this week, so this is show and tell. I got myself, well, my wife got me, I'll put it that way, pepper box, a VAS pepper box. So this is a nice little antenna. I don't know if you guys know about it, but if you don't, it's basically like a crosshair. It's got a little bit more dBi, so it's got a little bit more range, and it has around the same beam width as a crosshair. The only problem is it has a lower vertical beam. So it's probably about 110 degrees on the horizontal and 60 degrees on the vertical. So I got that. That's a 13 dBi. So it should do quite well for a really long range. So that's that. That's one thing. In the Omni, I got a VAS Ion. Very interested to try this out. The only thing I don't like about this is it's small, but this is a 2.5 dBi antenna, so I think it should be very good for transmitting. Thinking about this on obviously the long range, I'm not sure how I'm going to fit it on the G2. It's a little bit stubby. I did see word from Alex Greaves, IB Crazy, that he is looking to revamp his entire lineup of antennas for 2018. So there should be some new interesting stuff on the horizon, especially for long range. So this is the Ion. I think this would be a really good transmitting antenna because of the high dBi. So I'm anxious to try that out. So that's the other. Hey Humboldt, how you doing? Hey Hazard. So those are the two antenna things that I've purchased. And then for the receivers, since my old diversity receiver died, I got a Lumineer. This is the RX5GDR diversity receiver. I had a peek at it earlier. I opened it up and looked inside. It looks like fairly simple, pretty decent quality. It's metal, as you can probably hear. It's a metal case, quite nice, runs off of 7 to 24 volts. So should be pretty decent. I'm going to try that out this weekend, probably tomorrow or on Monday, on Christmas Day. I typically go out and do some flying on Christmas morning, so I'll give that a shot on Christmas morning. So that's a diversity for the ground station. And then for my goggles, I picked up Furious FPV True D, diversity. So anxious to try that out as well. I haven't had a chance to play with this. We'll see. We'll see how it does. I'll report back if I like it, if I don't like it, what my thoughts are on it. So those are my purchases, my Christmas presents. That's what my wife got me. She's such a great wife. Basically, yeah, I purchased it and she gave me the money. What can I do? And then I also got some new batteries. CHNL. First time I've tried these. I've got the 100C 1300 in 4S variety and 5S variety. So this is my first 5S battery. We'll be testing that out. Just let you know how that happened or how that works. And then 70C 1800 for the G2 for more long range stuff. So those are my purchases. I got a bunch of those batteries and probably spent more than I'd like on those, but yep. So that's my Christmas. Description, still this. Weird. Okay, let me fix that. I'll probably have to fix that later because I'm not sure I can fix that now. You can probably hear me typing. My keyboard is old, old, but excellent. I just love this keyboard. It's a IBM Model M. I think it's from 1994 or something like that. There we go. So hopefully that has changed the description. I'm not sure. Right. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. Last week was pretty much spent grading and working on my end of year video. It took me, I don't know how many hours to do, but quite a few hours. I'm still not completely pleased with it. There's some things that I wish were different. It's curse of the creator. One is never happy with one's own work. One of the things I would have liked to change is I'm not sure the widescreen format works. It cuts off a little bit of the views in some of the segments, and it's not consistent throughout. There's one segment that doesn't have the widescreen bars on it, or the bars on the top and bottom. Let's see. There's some errors in the real study, the stabilization, and there's some segments where I don't think it actually worked. It basically, there's glitches in it. I've noticed real study has a real problem with when there's light changes. So like lens flare and things like that, it has a real problem handling that. And it also often messes up bits of the video. So if you pay close attention to that, the end of year video that I picked, FPV 2017, you can see where it messes up. And I'm not really happy with that. I'm kind of a perfectionist in that respect. So it's frustrating. But in general, I like how it came out. The music I picked, I think I love the music I picked. So, let's see, what else? Yeah, so that basically was my week last week. To compensate, next week I've got the week off. I basically took all my personal days all at once, and I am going to do some flying. Probably go to the coast and do some flying around. Try to get my rigs to the point where I can just fly them and not have to worry about vibrations and things like that. Because I really hate using the real study. I think that it's a little bit of a cheat, but that's what it is. So yeah, that's all I've got for you guys this week. I hope you guys have got great holiday plans. I see Humboldt has some 2.4 gear coming. You got the new TBS wing, didn't you, Humboldt? The Caparina? I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but yeah, you got that, didn't you? I was looking at that. I almost pulled the trigger on that, but since I have 3 wings that I haven't really flown, I've decided no, I don't think I'm going to do that. Hi Art, how you doing? Yeah, so I decided not to buy it, and then when I checked the shipping, it was $250 in shipping to Chile. So yeah, no, that's not going to happen. Yeah, I need to get my wings going. I've kind of been slacking on my mini drac. I'm going to need to get that going. I'm going to spend some time on it this week and get that working. I've got my QAV 540 that I want to get working. Only issue with that is I don't have a lot of gear. I think I need some more 2.4 gigahertz gear for that. Yeah, so I'm got those 2 things on my to-do list, and I've got a little bit of work stuff as well. I'm building out here. This is a standard build for work. This is a turret 650 Ironman. It's basically used for agricultural work, or will be used for agricultural work. It runs multi-star 4108 480 kV motors. We like these because they're cheap and they work well. And has a Q-Brain 25 amp ESC, 4-in-1 ESC in here, and a Pixhawk, actually a HK Pilot 32, the Hobby Kings version of the Pixhawk. And this will fly for 40 minutes with two 5,000 milliamp 4S batteries. And it runs 16 by 5.5 props. So this is a fairly standard build that we do for work. I've built out maybe 2 or 3 of these so far, and they work. They just fly for a long time. Looks like an X-Class rig. Yeah, basically, it's around that. It's about 650 millimeters, somewhere around there. I don't really recall, but it will have landing gear and it will have a battery cage underneath. This is just the start of the build, but we use that a lot for agricultural work. And we've done work in the mountains as well. I had a project up in the mountains where we basically looked at using drones to infer the snow depth in the mountains. So, Merry Christmas to you, Flying High. Next video will be out, not sure when, probably this week. I should have it out. Oh, like I said, I'm planning on doing some flying tomorrow or on Monday, so I'll probably have the video out on Tuesday, something like that. And it should be a fun little video, more freestyle than long range, because the places around here are more freestyle sites. Yeah, that's a nice build, Humboldt. A Unify 2.4 800 megawatts, megawatts. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Milliwatts Singularity antennas and VAS crosshair. Yeah. The one thing I have had a problem with the 2.4 800 milliwatt. I actually hit something and the VTX just died. I was using it playing around on a race course and hit a gate, crashed, and then just didn't have any video. It just wasn't putting out any video. I had a look, there's no components loose, and yeah, so that was an issue with my TBS video transmitter. I like them in general because they're small, but I'm not sure they're the most reliable. Well, it's the only thing I don't like about them. Share experience with different motors, low kV, high kV for long range, pros, cons. Yeah, I haven't done, basically I class my builds based on my aim. So I think of quads as tools, and there's different tools for different jobs. So for really long range, I like the TBS Endurance. Those are really nice motors. They seem to be fairly reliable. I've got one that's, I think the bearing has died from a crash, but lower kV on high, larger props is the way for long range, basically. If you want more medium range, so I use my X24 with a F80, 22 kV motors, 2200 kV motors. That I use with 6-inch props, and that's more of a medium range rig. So you can get good distance on it. It still has a lot of flight time, but it doesn't have as much flight time as the G2, for example, because the G2 is really light. So it depends on what you want. I know Mike Stevens, Mike Virgin, Obsidian FPV and Richard Shelton from Multi Quad Builders. They're big into the high KV 6-inch 5S. That's their setup, their preferred setup, and they've had some pretty good success with that. I mean, they do pretty decent range, probably within the 2 to 3 mile range, at least Mike does. And it's fast. It's faster, so it looks better. But if you really want to get out there for a longer distance, you're going to need to pump up the size of the props. You're going to need to pump up or lower the KV, more efficient. You want more efficiency and bigger battery size and lightweight, of course. So that's my experience. If you want really long range, you really want something with big props. That's the idea, is you gain efficiency as you move up in prop size. And of course, as you move up in prop size, you need to move down in KV. That's the basic wisdom of the masses. That's what everybody does when they want to get really long range, when they want to get long flight times. I've found I like the TBS G2 because it's light. So you can get bigger batteries there and still have a little bit more, have a more dynamic flight. So I can do acro with a G2. It's not that big. It's not that heavy. So I like that. Happy holidays to you guys too. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate, have a happy one. I'm here having some cola de mono, which is literally monkey's tail. I couldn't tell you what's in it, but it's an alcoholic beverage that's made here in Chile. So cheers to you guys. So, any questions for me? Corona, yeah, Corona's good as well. Foam core solid carbon G2. The foam core has some inherent weaknesses. It's flexy. It's not as it's not as robust as the solid carbon G2. Let me show you. This is actually, let's see if you can see it here. No, you can't. I destroyed this G2. Basically ran it into the ground with a big battery attached to it, and it just bent. Yeah, you can maybe see that. So you can see it's just kind of, it bends there. I could probably fix it with a little bit of CA, but I decided no, this frame, yeah, there, I just broke it. This frame has probably seen its last days, and you can see, yeah, there's more. So that's the issue. It's not very robust. So depends on what you want. If you're doing long range, if you're doing safe long range, then this is probably what you want. The foam core. But if you're doing acro, then you want to get the solid. Probably the solid would do better on the 7-inch props. There's a lot of resonance I found in the foam core. So yeah, goals for 2018. I've got a few goals. There's a couple things that I wanted to do for a long time. Like I said, I've got a couple secret projects that I'm working on. I'm trying to work out. The problem is where I want to fly, the country isn't very stable. So I've got to figure out how to get around that. figure out how to get into the country and out of the country without getting myself killed. So that's one of my problems. One of the reasons why I haven't done what I wanted to do yet. I'd like to fly in Antarctica if I could find the money, figure out how to get $10,000 to go fly there. Let's see, what else? Summit the highest mountain in Chile with my quad. That's the biggest goal. That's a kind of a short to medium term goal. The highest mountain in Chile is about 7,000 meters, so about 21,000, 22,000 feet, somewhere around there. So it's high enough. It'll be difficult. So somebody else asked me this. Do I find it harder to fly in higher altitudes in the mountains? Not necessarily. You just have to be aware that the altitude will make a difference to your flight. You'll end up using more throttle and less amps because your props aren't as loaded on the high altitude. You don't have as much friction or air pressure to fight against the props. So you kind of have to be aware of that and use higher pitched props or higher kV motors for really high altitude stuff. Thrust tests on the TBS endurance motors. What's your experience? Been running them on 4S 7-inch. Yeah, your 25 amp ESCs will have more than enough headroom on the 4S. I use my current build right now is a KISS CC. So that's the ESCs. It has 16 amps. I never seen it use more than 50 amps total. So about 12 amps per motor. So yeah, 13 amps per motor. So you're never going to use more than 25 amps. You've got plenty of headroom on the 25 amps. And that's on 7-inch. I've used it on 6.4.6 by 4.5 by 3. It's the same. They're a little less efficient. You'll end up using a little bit more amps to get the same amount of thrust, but they still work. The higher the better. Yeah, I agree. Videos. Well, I always, my goals for 2018 in terms of videos is always to produce good stuff. I'm always trying to find new ways of tell my story, tell what I'm doing. You'll notice I try to keep a good mix of stuff on my channel. I don't like to have just road trip videos or just freestyle videos or just one battery video. So I try to keep a mix. I like to produce the one battery videos because I feel those are the most pure. But it's so rare that I get a one battery that I'm really happy with. So it depends on what I do and how I feel. I'd like to get more into time lapse. I've really liked the stuff from Timestorm, I think is the channel on YouTube. They do some really cool stuff, and I'm really impressed by that. It's kind of inspired by that. But my camera doesn't really do what I want it to do. So I'm building up my experience using my current camera, and then when I'm actually got the money and I feel like I've got enough experience, I'll step up to something like a Sony Alpha, and we'll see what comes out of that. So what else? Yeah, not much else to report here, guys. I don't know if you guys got more questions for me. Have I tried the TBS Diamond antenna? No, I haven't. I'm on a limited budget at the moment. I'd like to... eventually I will get one. But for now, the stock antenna seems to work pretty well. I don't really do a lot of low altitude, long distance flying like the Diamond is supposed to be able, or supposed to solve. So the stock antenna seems to work pretty well. I did just recently trim my other antennas, my normal antenna. Grab this. So I don't know if you've seen, but Trappe recommends trimming the stock antenna, the stock small antenna. He says that it should be, you should cut 7.5 millimeters from each end of the antenna to get the best range. That's for 915. If you're running 868, then probably you need to trim a little bit less. But yeah, so if you trim your antenna, you should get a little bit better range. I like on this rig itself. Something looks wrong here. Yeah, I think one of my antennas is broken, but yeah, okay. On this rig, I tried running the Immortal antenna, and I didn't have very good luck. It actually gave me less range than the stock antenna, the stock Crossfire antenna. So that's something to watch for, something to look out for. Perhaps based on your rig, maybe the stock antenna will do better. Apart from efficiency, do you see any disadvantage to running smaller frames than the frame is smaller props than the frame is intended for, i.e. 6-inch props on a 7-inch frame? No, actually, well, yes and no. The frame's going to be heavier, so that's the only disadvantage. A lot of people in the olden days, they like to run 5-inch props on 6-inch frames because you get more leverage. So your props are out farther, and that translates into naturally smoother movement and more control of the quad. So it's easier to change things, change the attitude of the quad with more leverage. So I think that is a big advantage. Any other questions? It's coming up on the 30-minute mark, and I'm just about out of Colo de Mono. Don't plan on this going on forever, so I'll probably cut it off about 30 minutes. So I've got about another 2 minutes thereabouts. So if anyone asks questions. Plans for the holidays. Yeah, I'm going to go sit around and do nothing, which is excellent. We don't have any family here, or we don't have much family here. My wife's family is up in Santiago, and usually traffic is pretty horrible. So we usually just chill around the house and just enjoy each other's company. It's just me and my wife, no kids to worry about, which is probably why I can afford all this FPV crap. Yep, that's what I like, is just chilling. I'll probably go out and fly on Monday morning. There's one spot I like to hit up on Christmas morning. It's a pretty nice spot, so. And yeah, Right, so I'm going to go. I'm going to wish you guys a good night and happy holidays and get some flights in. I'd like to see some flights. Let me know if you do anything cool so I can post it here. And have you guys have yourself happy holidays. And we'll see you next Saturday at the same time. Happy New Year. Happy holidays. Ciao, ciao.